welcome to episode 2 of my Nuzlocke Around the World. In the last episode, I caught a Slackoth in Australia and a Marini in China before battling through the first part of Pokémon Scarlet and defeating Katie at the Cortondo Gym. Now, it's time for me to take you on a tour of Thailand, where we will encounter the third member of our team. The Thai capital of Bangkok is a metropolis to rival Lumiose or Castelia City in the Pokémon games. It's a great place where you can often find historic, cultural sites a stone's throw away from modern skyscrapers, although it'll take you at least an hour to get anywhere in the city in the crazy traffic, which is unlike anything I've ever seen anywhere in the world. The first such site I visited was Wat Arun, a Buddhist temple which is over 300 years old. It is always amazing to marvel at the detailed architecture at a place like this, and think about how people built it back in the day without modern technology. Seriously, it feels like a great deal of thought was put into every inch of this place when it was constructed. Super impressive. On the opposite side of the river is the Grand Palace, which is certainly, well, grand. If there's one thing I would criticize about this place, is that there's just so much gold, and nobody likes a gold shiny Pokemon. But they certainly do love their gold in Thailand. If there's one thing the Thai people do well, it's a good market. Seriously, they have normal, albeit very large markets built either side of train tracks, and even floating markets where you can do your shopping by boat. A ride through the floating markets was a really pleasant way to spend a morning, and if I was making a Pokemon game based in Thailand, all the gyms would certainly be based on different types of markets. I also visited the Sanctuary of Truth in Pattaya, a couple of hours from Bangkok. Pattaya is a wild place after dark, not exactly my cup of sinis tea, but during the day, it's a beautiful beach town. The Sanctuary of Truth is an unfinished museum which started construction as recently as 1981. It just goes to show that the people of Thailand are still putting in an incredible amount of work into these sorts of places, hundreds of years down the road. Not far from Bangkok is Ayutthaya, the former capital of Thailand. The temples and the ruins here are impressive as well. Definitely the sort of place where an unknown or a Sigilif may pop out. Not that I'm catching a Pokemon here. No, I was not interested in catching a Pokemon in Ayutthaya or Pattaya or even Bangkok. To get my encounter in Thailand, I wanted to go to the place in Thailand which sounded most like a Pokemon. And since the government of Thailand is yet to create a town called Escavalier, I travelled to the seaside town of Krabi, or Krabi as it's actually pronounced. Krabi is not far from Phuket and is lined with resorts, though probably slightly less chaotic than its rowdy neighbour. From Krabi, I journeyed out on a boat tour to the nearby islands. As someone who can't swim without a Pokemon who knows surf, I didn't engage in the ample snorkeling opportunities, which gave me plenty of time to take photos and videos of the insanely beautiful surroundings. Most of the locations in and around Krabi are straight off a postcard, and they even filmed some James Bond scenes somewhere around here, apparently. Not that I watch any movies which don't feature Rubeus Hagrid. I also travelled to Khao Sok National Park, spending some time taking in the beautiful sights on the lake. This is the type of place which feels so far removed from the chaos of Bangkok, where you can really appreciate nature. As part of the time spent in Khao Sok, we walked through a dark, bat-filled cave. As a person who has played literally any Pokemon game before the 3DS era, I've already spent enough hours of my life walking through dark, bat-filled caves. So I tried to get out of there as quickly as I could. Now that we've thoroughly explored Thailand, it's time to head back to Krabi to find the third member of our team. Will we catch a Krabby? Well, no. Sadly, the Krabby line is not available in Pokémon Scarlet, so that's not an option. Now, I'll throw it over to my past self to see what Pokémon we will catch in Thailand. It is currently the 25th of December, so Merry Christmas. But since you're watching this at some point in the future, happy April 18th. I am poolside here in Krabi, Thailand, the most Pokemon sounding place I could find. And I think it's time to catch the third Pokemon of this playthrough. Let's open up the tablet and see what happens. Okay, what's it gonna be? Oh, we clicked on something. Oh, it's a Bulbasaur. It is a Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is a really interesting catch. We do have 2 poison types now, and a glaring weakness to Psychic. But Bulbasaur is basically the perfect Pokemon to deal with the next 2 major battles in Pokemon Scarlet. Venusaur should also be a fairly useful Pokemon later in the game. For the record, I did eventually find a Krabby in Krabi before I left. Maybe that can be a thing we do in the future. Catch a Paris in Paris. Catch a Pichu at Machu Picchu. Are there any others? Let me know in the comments below. Before I sign off from Thailand, the day I started writing this script, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake hit Myanmar, which caused plenty of damage in neighbouring Thailand as well. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that and pay tribute to those who lost their lives, and hope that the people of both beautiful countries are able to rebuild in due course. On a lighter note, have you ever seen something in the real world and thought, hey, I've seen that somewhere before? And then 10 minutes later you realise it's a Pokestop in Pokemon Go? No? It's just me, is it? I swear that happens to me like literally all the time. So, as I leave Thailand, what are my final thoughts? Did I enjoy my time in the Land of Smiles? Would I recommend visiting? Well, my thoughts are 7.8, too much water. I mean, have you seen a map of this place? Imagine trying to turn this into a Pokemon region. As established, I can also barely swim, and I don't have the Surf HM, so that could be potentially problematic. But seriously, Thailand is a stunning country, with incredibly kind people and fantastic food. It's also very cheap compared to most other places I've been, and I highly recommend it as a holiday destination. I certainly hope to be back and explore more of it myself. It's time to fly home to Australia to add Bulbasaur to Pokémon Scarlet, and I was pleased to find my favourite TV show on the plane. The only reason I'm showing you this is, well, have you ever wondered why airplanes show like the last 6 episodes of a TV show? Or like all of season 5? Like, who does this benefit other than someone who has already seen the show and wants to rewatch a specific part of it? It's one of the greatest mysteries of aviation, along with that disappearing Malaysia Airlines flight, if you ask me. Though, I dare say one of those is a slightly higher priority to solve. Okay, time to do something a little bit different. I've bought a bunch of booster packs of the trading card game from Thailand. As you can see, these are all in Thai. And we are going to open one of these. I have no idea what is in any of these because I don't know the first thing about the trading cards. But whatever Pokemon come out of these packs, the next time we go to a country, if the Pokemon we catch from that country is one of the Pokemon from this booster pack, we will get to catch a second Pokemon in that country. So I'm thinking I'm going to go with this pack that's got Hisuian Zoroark on the cover because it's one of my all-time favorites. And let's open this. and see what is inside. Okay, let's see what we have got. That is a Murkrow, or however you call it in Thai, Snova, Mischievous, that's not a Pokemon, Beautifly, and Bronzor. Okay, I just did a quick bit of research, and it turns out of the 5 Pokemon that we pulled from that booster pack, Beautifly is not available in Scarlet and Violet. The whole Wurmple line is not in the game, so effectively it's useless to us in this playthrough. However, the other 4 cards, which was Murkrow, Snova, Mischievous, and Bronzor, they are all in play. So if we catch any of those Pokemon, we will get a bonus catch in the next country that we are in. However, I was kind of planning on having more than 4 options, so I think to improve our odds, let's open a second booster pack and just give ourselves a little bit more of a chance. And I think I've chosen this booster pack mainly because it's got Frigibax on it, and he's one of the cutest Pokemon they've ever created. So let's open it and see what we have to work with. Bounsweet. Oh, there's Arctibax. Another Murkrow. Oh, Mabastiff. And that is not a Pokemon. Okay, interesting. I have gone in and confirmed that all 4 Pokemon we pulled out of that booster pack are available in Scarlet and Violet. 2 of them were Gen 9 Pokemon anyway, but all 4 of them are most certainly available. Now, out of the 4, Mabastiff and its pre-evolution Maschiff are not currently in Pokemon Go, although who knows, that might change by the time I get to another country. And if it does, it gives us an additional probability of getting the bonus encounter. The other 3 all work a little bit better for us. We've got Bounsweet, which is definitely in Pokemon Go. It's had a community day. Arctibax, which I don't know if we can find a wild Arctibax, but you can most definitely find Frigibax. So if we find Frigibax, I'm counting it as a win, considering how rare it is in the first place. And we will get a bonus encounter if we find Frigibax. And then Murkrow, which, well, we already had a Murkrow from the other booster pack I opened. Which is quite funny because in Thailand I almost clicked on a Murkrow. It was literally right next to that Bulbasaur that I clicked on. So we almost had this on our team already. But I think since we've got 2 of them, if we do find a Murkrow in the next country, maybe we get a bonus 2 encounters. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below and we can figure it all out from there. Now that all of that is out of the way, it's time to add Bulbasaur to our team by way of breeding an egg, which happened to give me a female Bulbasaur. I named our future Venusaur Serenasaur because nobody's ever made that joke before, and it's time to spend some time training it up to a similar level as the rest of our team. While training Bulbasaur, it almost died at the hands of a Spoink. If you're wondering why I'm battling a psychic type of a higher level for experience points, well, I was trying to listen to a true crime podcast and do some absent-minded training in the background without my full attention. Turns out this video was 1 HP away from becoming a true crime podcast itself. Now that would have been an absolute calamity. Once Bulbasaur is trained up to level 16, which is the same level as the Titan Clorth, it evolves into Ivysaur, giving us an even better Pokemon to deal with the Titan Clorth. I picked up the Shell Bell along the way to give us a bit more HP, before Ivysaur comfortably took the damage of Clorth's Rock Smash and won the battle with 3 Razor Leaves. Before the rematch against the Titan Clorth, I returned to the Pokemon Center to heal up the 5 HP I lost, because I'm a coward, before teaming up with Arven to take on the Titan again. This battle gets a little scarier, because Clorth targets Ivysaur with a Vice Grip and a defense-lowering Rock Smash. But fortunately, Arven's Shelder helps with a Leer, before becoming the target of Clorf's fury, and we're able to finish it off. A cutscene follows, in which Arven makes me a sandwich, which my Koraidon refuses to let me eat. Pretty sure this thing has eaten every piece of food I've obtained since the start of this adventure, so my death is impending. But at least this thing can run fast now, so that was probably worth the starvation. Ivysaur is also incredibly well suited to take on the Artisan Gym as well, given its 4 times resistance of grass. However, it needs a poison type attack to do some damage, so I go and pick up the Acid Spray TM just north of Cortondo and teach it to Ivysaur. Before we can challenge the Artisan Gym, we are confronted by our old rival, Xi Jinping, who seems to be following me ever since I left China. Xi Jinping claims that it's a strange coincidence that we ended up in the same gym in the same city once again, before realizing that I don't believe a word they're saying. Xi Jinping apparently proves that I'm not being stalked by not challenging me to another Pokémon war, and departs to go and train 20 Pokémon, although something tells me we won't see them using most of them. We then find some Sunflora around Artisan in order to complete the gym test, and we then meet the Artisan gym leader, Brassius, some weird guy who just goes around saying avant-garde at everything. I might need to try doing that one day. Maybe the next time I travel. I decided to toy with Brassius because his Petalil only has Sleep Powder, which does nothing to a grass type like Ivysaur, and Mega Drain, which I strongly resist. This allows me to provide you with some exceptionally gripping footage of using Growth 6 times before sweeping away his entire team with Acid Spray. Sudowoodo does get a chance to attack because of Sturdy, but this battle ends up being probably the easiest one we'll ever have. Once I receive my Avant-Garde Gym Badge, it's time to bring this episode to an end. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to follow my adventures in another country next month. There's a Titan Bombardier in our future as well, and we don't currently have a great counter for that, so let's hope we find a useful team member to add to our team before we have to face it. Until next time. Tonight's the night. The night to add the 4th Pokemon to our team. Where will we catch this Pokemon, you may be asking? Well, I'm thinking inside a volcano. I'll see you there.